Queen Victoria paid for seances, hoping to reach her dead husband. By the 1870s, 10,000 mediums, most of them women, offered hope to the bereaved, even though the law called them criminals. Yet, prosecutions almost never happened. Fortune teller frauds quietly amassed fortunes from the desperate. How did these women turn grief into their business? And what made their scams nearly untouchable? By the late 19th century, spiritualism was woven into the fabric of British society. In drawing rooms from London to Liverpool, seances promised messages from the other side. By the 1870s, an estimated 10,000 mediums worked across the country, a figure that startled even the skeptics of the day. Most of these practitioners were women, seen as naturally attuned to the spirit world. Victorian beliefs about femininity, gentle, intuitive, and receptive, made the idea of a female medium not just acceptable, but desirable. Grief was everywhere. 1 in 5 children died before their 5th birthday, and cholera, consumption, and accidents left families in mourning. In this climate, the promise of contact with lost loved ones became a lifeline. Even the royal family was not immune. After Prince Albert's death in 1861, Queen Victoria herself sought comfort from mediums, giving the practice a stamp of legitimacy that rippled through every social class. Newspaper advertisements for seances multiplied, and spiritualist societies appeared in every major city. The combination of public sorrow, royal endorsement, and the cultural elevation of women's sensitivity created a marketplace where mediums could thrive. For many, consulting a medium was as ordinary as visiting a doctor or solicitor. The lines between faith, hope, and commerce blurred, and the demand for spiritual guidance soared, leaving fortune tellers well placed to profit from the heartbreak of a nation. Victorian lawmakers tried to rein in fortune tellers with the Vagrancy Act of 1824. Section 4 of the Act made it a crime for every person pretending or professing to tell fortunes, or using any subtle craft, means, or device, by palmistry or otherwise, to deceive and impose on any of His Majesty's subjects. In theory, the law was clear. Fortune-telling was illegal on its face, at least according to the statute. In practice, the courts demanded more than evidence of failed predictions. Prosecutors had to prove fraudulent intent, that the accused knowingly set out to deceive for personal gain. That state of mind was often impossible to establish from the evidence alone. Mediums and fortune tellers often claimed sincere spiritual belief, framing their work as religious or scientific rather than criminal. That distinction forced juries to weigh not only the facts, but the motives and convictions of the accused. Many jurors, themselves believers, or at least sympathetic to spiritualism, hesitated to convict on spiritual grounds alone. Judges sometimes instructed juries to ignore the supernatural and judge by the well-known course of nature, as in the 1876 Slade case. Even then, appeals on technicalities, such as whether slate writing counted as palmistry, often overturned guilty verdicts. With police stretched thin and thousands of vagrancy cases each year, prosecutions of fortune tellers rarely took priority. Unless outright theft could be shown, most cases collapsed before reaching a cell. The law's teeth, dulled by ambiguity and public sentiment, left a wide opening for those willing to exploit the desperate. In the heart of Kensington, a discreet advertisement promised solace to the bereaved. Consult Mrs. Wells, spiritualist medium. Private seances arranged, discretion assured. The fee was £5 per sitting, and it was steep, but for wealthy widows adrift in mourning, the promise of reunion outweighed the cost. Behind the polished brass knocker of her townhouse, Mrs. Eleanor Wells greeted clients with gentle sympathy and an air of quiet authority. For years, she cultivated an aura of respectability. Her rooms filled with velvet chairs, crystal decanters, and the scent of lavender. Widows arrived, clutching handkerchiefs, desperate for a message from the other side. Mrs. Wells delivered, always with just enough detail to convince, and with just enough mystery to keep them coming back. The true cost only became clear when one widow's son noticed his mother's jewelry vanishing and her letters filled with talk of spirit demands. Over 4 years, she handed over £3,000, enough to buy a terrace of houses at the time. Suspecting fraud, the son hired a private detective. His report described a calculated system of emotional manipulation, extracting valuables under the guise of spiritual necessity. By the time the evidence reached the authorities, Mrs. Wells had disappeared. Neighbors said she departed for Paris in the night, leaving nothing behind but empty rooms and unanswered questions. There was no trial, no conviction, only a trail of broken trust and fortunes lost. In Manchester, 1889, a different kind of promise drew women to Miss Margaret Hartley's door. Her advertisements claimed she could reveal the identity of a future husband by gazing into a crystal sphere. The offer appealed to unmarried women in their 20s and 30s, many of them factory workers or shop assistants, who faced shrinking prospects with every passing year. The first reading cost £1, but those seeking more certainty soon found themselves paying £10 or even £50 for special love spells. Hartley insisted that valuables such as rings or brooches be handed over so she could charge them with romantic energy. Police records from the time list 47 victims, their names and losses carefully entered in a battered ledger. The total was £4,000, a sum that could have bought several terraced houses. When the case finally reached court, the trial transcript captured the judge's blunt words. "You have preyed on the hopes of lonely women, extracting their savings under false pretenses." Hartley's sentence, 18 months of hard labor, stood out as unusually severe for the period. Most fortune tellers escaped with a warning or a fine, but the scale of her deception and the vulnerability of her victims left the court unwilling to show mercy. The case exposed not just the tricks of the trade, but the deep well of longing and isolation that made so many susceptible to the promise of love. Victorian fortune tellers relied on a precise playbook of psychological manipulation. Cold reading formed the foundation. A medium would watch for subtle cues, a mourner's ring, the way a widow clutched a handkerchief, the flicker of hope or doubt in a client's eyes. With these tiny signals, a fortune teller could offer statements that felt deeply personal, but were broad enough to catch almost anyone. Shotgunning took this further. Instead of a single specific claim, the medium would scatter several possibilities. Someone close to you died recently, or there is a letter or a locket that holds meaning. When a client reacted, the medium zeroed in, making it seem as though the spirits revealed hidden truths. Hot reading added another layer. Some mediums gathered information before the séance, listening to gossip and using details shared by previous clients. This allowed them to present known facts as supernatural insight, once a client invested time, money, or emotion. The sunk cost fallacy took hold. The more a person paid, whether for a séance, a spell, or a gift, said to be demanded by spirits, the harder it became to walk away. Each step deepened the client's commitment and made further demands easier to justify. These tactics, rooted in observation and psychology, turned hope and grief into tools for profit. In the present day, the business of psychic readings and spiritual guidance has grown into a major industry. The UK's psychic market now generates hundreds of millions of pounds each year, with estimates reaching as high as £400 million. Regulation remains minimal, and anyone can set up shop as a medium or spiritual advisor. The internet has replaced the drawing room, making it possible for self-proclaimed psychics to reach clients across the globe with a single click. Fraud reports continue to surface. In recent years, a Malaysian woman named Anya Fan was sentenced to prison after defrauding clients of £2.9 million. Her victims included doctors, teachers, and business owners. They never imagined they could fall for promises of lottery wins or guaranteed love. The same psychological tactics used by Victorian fortune tellers are still at work. Emotional manipulation, escalating demands for money, and the promise of secret knowledge. The tools have changed, but the vulnerabilities exploited remain the same. The cycle of hope, desperation, and deception continues, just as it did more than a century ago. Today, the United Kingdom's psychic industry faces almost no regulation and generates billions each year. The tactics Victorian fraudsters pioneered still target the grieving and vulnerable online. As long as hope can be sold, exploitation adapts, not vanishes. The real cost isn't money, it's trust. Share your thoughts below.